It's not your ordinary news.
Check this out. Last Friday in Oklahoma, a bank went down, y'all, and they're only giving 50% of the money back to their customers. So if you had over the limit of FDIC insurance, you're only getting 50% of those funds back, in the hopes of maybe later possibly getting a little bit more on top of that. So you want to protect your funds right now. So as you can see from the article, there is no advance notice that's given to the customer. They just close the door. They just go bankrupt and that's it. And if you got your money locked up, you got to go through the whole process and try to get your money out of that. Keep this in mind. There's $19 trillion in U.S. bank deposits, but there's only $122 billion in the FDIC fund. That means there's less than 1% of the balance to make everybody whole once a collapse starts to happen. They don't have enough money in the insurance to cover everybody, y'all. So protect your money. Every time I get on here, I'm giving condolences, right? This time I'm giving condolences to Mexico and Cuba. Mexico just got hit the other day with a unexpected flood, right? Unexpected flooding. Wasn't anticipated, y'all. Just came out of nowhere. Unexpected flood just hit Mexico. And they're going through a hard time. Now, I wanted to give you a little food for thought. If you really want to blow your mind, take a look at what the St. Louis arches really are and who it was created by and for what purpose. If you really want to blow your mind, check this out. Eero Saarinen, however you say his name. This is the guy that designed the St. Louis arches. But guess what he did? He didn't just design arches for fun. Take a look. Eero was employed by the CIA specifically to make these weaponized weather modification devices. The arch you see is literally just an antenna, y'all. Just like the 5G towers that we have up all around our neighborhoods. You mean to tell me this is what a normal sky looks like? With the visibility of bath water? With milk in it? It's not. Take a look. Sometimes you can even see the effects of the waves right on the clouds themselves, because the clouds take on the shape of the frequencies that it's getting hit by sometimes. Take a look. I filmed this myself on different days. But let's talk about Cuba. The whole country had a power outage, and only parts of Havana right now got electricity. The whole country we talking about, not just a neighborhood or a block, the whole country. And you know what? Check this out. Now they have Hurricane Oscar to worry about. But I want you to see this. Because Hurricane Oscar did a weird thing.
And it remains a hurricane as it's drifting from the southeastern Bahamas, but it likely will impact eastern Cuba with some hurricane conditions over that small area. A little bit later on today, hurricane hunters have been flying through this, and they're finding the pressure slightly lower. So it may be strengthening just a little bit, and it still has a few hours to do so, but I don't expect much. Making that turn and eventually affecting the southeast Bahamas again Tuesday into Wednesday. And we only found that out because hurricane hunters flew a plane through the middle of this yesterday. Hurricane hunters have been flying through this.
Did you just hear what this guy just said? He said only after the hurricane hunters flew their planes into the storm that it then started to pick up the pace, intensity, and change direction. Don't that sound a little familiar? I covered a patent that they have that specifically talks about the ability to change the direction and the intensity of hurricanes by flying the jets in with the afterburners on, y'all. You cannot make this up. You have to make a lot of excuses to excuse something like this. So why am I talking about this? Well, if you didn't hear, last week on the 17th was International Earthquake Shakeout Day, right? This is where they do practice drills all over the world. This is International Shakeout Day, right? Annual. I never even heard of it myself, but I snapped this picture because in some of the hospitals that I work in, they had this flyer up for Annual Shakeout Day. And take a look. The 17th is when it took place. But by a strange coincidence, guess what else happened on the 17th? Check it out. Cuba get hit with a 5.0 earthquake. You cannot make this up right off the shore, y'all. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because now they're talking about increased earthquake activities at the Madrid fault line. Check it out.
Real concerns come after the shaking.
Then you get to start worrying, well, will the pipes break? Well, for how long will we not have electricity?
While the Midwest hasn't had a major quake recently, preparation is key.
When you look at the St. Louis area, especially on the New Madrid seismic fault, one could argue that we're due for one of those.
Impacts to rivers, bridges, and trains are major concerns. That's why it's crucial to understand earthquakes to better build and prepare.
So they say they already had a very active earthquake season this year, right? They had a bunch of earthquakes. We just can't conveniently feel them. That's what they said. But within the next 50 years, they expect the big one. But again, y'all, check this out. We want to watch how they perform, not what they say. They are actively doing drills right now. So we don't want to get caught slipping with that. Now, this may be news to some of you, and this may be reviewed to others. But it's well documented that they have earthquake machines, including patents that go all the way back to Nikolai Tesla. Check this out. What you can really do is look up the DOM device. That's the digital optical module, and it's in Antarctica. This is a big operation that they have put into the ice. They say it's to detect the earthquakes with their sensors. But if you look at the manual, it's not just a detector. They can also output high voltage. They can also generate earthquakes. This is real. This is in their patent. It's right there. People just got to know where to find it. So what you'll come to realize is they always reveal themselves through the propaganda media and also the drills that they do publicly. I would also suggest looking into that big fire drill that they had in Lahaina right before the fire started. The same exact day, all the higher up officials were somewhere else doing a fire drill at the same exact time that the island started to catch on fire. You cannot make this up.
That I know said we never knew anything about the fire.
That same day, several of the country's top emergency management officials were in Hawaii hosting an annual conference. The agenda listed 74 attendees at this year's Pacific Partnership meeting, including FEMA leadership and several members of the Center for Homeland Defense. In an email, a state emergency management spokesperson said those officials were part of a coordinating call about 11 a.m. to discuss multiple wildfires that had sparked on Big Island and Maui. Officials attended the meeting and at what time they were made aware of the catastrophe unfolding in Lahaina. Despite multiple requests, those questions remain unanswered.
Another famous drill we can look up is Event 201. This just happened in 2018. They were literally game planning how the virus would spread if they dropped it in certain areas. This is Bill Gates and all his buddies sitting around this table right here talking about what the possibilities were. And then it went live. So that brings me to my last subject, which is the Carrington event. The Carrington event was the biggest geomagnetic storm that ever happened. Happened back in 1859. Check it out. They didn't have too many devices that was plugged up, but it did affect the telegraph stations. It knocked out the power for them. It was a really big event that happened. But nowadays, we're so dependent on electricity that if a Carrington event like that happened to us now, that would be catastrophic. Think about everything that we have. Everything is ran on power. Everything is ran on electricity. So if we have one of those nationwide blackouts or worldwide blackouts, it'll be catastrophic. So why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because if you didn't hear, just last week, we had the Northern Lights out here in California, amongst other states that also could see the Northern Lights. Remember, this was an event that only took place in Alaska. People used to make special trips to Alaska to see these dancing lights in the sky. But now we're seeing them all the way out here. Now, people from the Carrington event recall seeing Northern Lights before the power went out, right? But we also know that HAARP is also known for making artificial Northern Lights. They are playing in the sky, y'all. Do not let them play you and say this is something that's naturally occurring with solar storms. I bring this up because Cuba's government is also blaming the lack of fuel and also the lack of maintenance on their grid as to other reasons why their grid is shut down for the whole country. Well, that's the same story that's going on in America. We're not drilling no more for oil. The oil reserves have been depleted. It's the same exact situation that we're facing in America. Like I said, both sides of the aisle is responsible for this happening to our country. They're in cahoots together, right? They're both responsible. Don't they live in this country? Won't they be affected if the grid go down? You can't even burn French fries at McDonald's without getting fired. How are we letting these people lead us off the cliff like this? We want to make sure that we do what we can do in our own circle to make sure we good, because these people, they went rogue a long time ago. And we never want to have the attitude that just because we live in a first world country that this can't happen to us. Don't forget about our brothers and sisters and family members on the East Coast. It's already happening, y'all. So we got to make sure that we just prepared. Check this out. I just got this text the other day talking about they might turn our power off within 72 hours to stop wildfires, right? Take a look at that right in the middle. We're going to turn your power off to prevent wildfires. At this point, stop all the gaslighting. We already know what the game plan is. So anyway, thank y'all for watching the video. I hope y'all stayed all the way to the end. Like, subscribe, comment, share the video. Let's get this all the way out there, y'all. They're trying to stop your boy, but they can't stop the train. We coming hard at them, and that's what it is. Thank you, friends, family, my people. We out!
It's not your ordinary news. Get no seminary news. It's up. I can tell you the truth because it's not the news.